Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be looking at marine network routers.
Okay.
And just to set the scene, imagine you're out on your yacht,
Right.
beautiful sunset,
Yeah.
maybe trying to, get a little bit of work done or stream something,
Sure.
and the internet's down.
Oh, yeah, the worst.
So we did a bunch of research on this, pulled a bunch of articles.
Yeah.
And we really want to deep dive into this and give everyone out there the information they need
All right.
to make the right choice for their boat.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's critical
Yeah.
on a boat these days to have a good network.
Yeah.
And a marine network router is really the heart of it.
Okay.
It's what manages all your devices.
Okay.
It gives you internet access.
So it's basically like the router I have in my house, but just built for a boat.
Exactly. Yeah, it's built for the marine environment.
Right.
It can handle the, salt spray,
Right.
the humidity, all that stuff.
Got it.
So it's important to have a good one.
Yeah. And so, one of the things we saw pop up a lot in the research was the Starlink router.
Oh, yeah, the Starlink router is definitely popular.
What's the deal with that?
It's a really good option, especially for smaller boats,
Okay.
under 50 feet or so.
Okay.
It's all wireless,
Okay.
so you don't have to worry about running cables all over your boat.
Gotcha.
And it uses Starlink satellite internet.
Okay. So I can be way offshore and still have internet access?
Exactly.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's a game changer.
How many devices can I connect to that thing, though?
Well, the Starlink router can handle up to 125 devices.
Oh, wow.
So that's plenty for most boats.
Yeah, I think I'm only at like 20 or 30 right now.
Yeah, that's nothing.
But what about, what are those other things? They were called combination routers or something like that.
Oh, yeah, combination routers.
Yeah.
Those are a good option if you want even more reliability.
Okay.
So they can actually combine multiple internet sources.
What do you mean by that?
So let's say you're at a marina
Yeah.
and you have access to dockside broadband.
Okay.
You can use that.
All right.
But when you're out on the water,
Yeah.
you can switch to cellular internet
Gotcha.
or even Starlink.
So it's like having all the internet options in one little box.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Cool.
The Peplink Pepwave Max BR1 is a good example of a combination router.
Okay.
It can handle 5G, cellular,
Mm-hmm.
Starlink,
Yeah.
and dockside broadband.
Cool.
So you're always connected no matter where you are.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So it seems like there's a lot of different options.
Yeah.
How do I know which one's right for me?
Well, it really depends on the size of your boat
Okay.
and how you use it.
Okay.
For smaller boats, under 50 feet,
Right.
the Starlink router or one of those combination routers is probably a good option.
Okay.
But if you have a larger boat,
Yeah.
you might need something more powerful.
Like what?
Well, the MDS Blender from Marine Data Solutions is a good option for larger yachts.
MDS Blender. That sounds pretty intense.
Yeah, it's a pretty powerful piece of equipment.
Okay.
It can handle up to 500 devices.
500 devices? What kind of boat has 500 devices on it?
Think about all the systems on a large yacht.
Yeah.
You've got navigation systems,
Right.
entertainment systems,
Yes.
security cameras,
Yeah.
and then you've got all the personal devices.
Right. All the phones and tablets and computers.
Exactly.
So it all adds up.
It does.
So the MDS Blender can handle all of that.
It can.
Wow. That's impressive.
Yeah, it's a pretty amazing system.
So how do I know if I need something like that?
Well, if you have a lot of devices on your boat
Yeah.
and you need a really reliable internet connection,
Yep.
then the MDS Blender might be a good option for you.
All right. So I'm starting to get a better understanding of this, but why Marine Data Solutions?
Well, they specialize in marine internet and networking.
Okay.
They've been doing this for a long time,
Oh.
and they have a really good reputation.
So they're the experts.
Yeah, you could say
If
that.
I need help figuring this all out, they're the ones to call.
Absolutely. They can help you choose the right equipment,
Okay.
and they can even install it for you.
All right. Well, that sounds like a good place to stop for now.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of ground.
We've talked about the different types of marine routers and
Right.
how to choose the right one for your boat.
Yep.
But we've only scratched the surface when it comes to internet sources
That's true.
and security.
Yeah, we'll dive into that in this part.
So stay tuned for part 2 of our deep dive into marine network routers.
See them.
Welcome back, everyone, to our deep dive on marine network routers.
Yeah, it's good to be back.
All right, so last time we talked about the, what a router is.
Right, the different types.
Different types
Yeah.
and popular models.
Yep.
But a router is only as good as the internet connection that's going into it, right?
Exactly. You need a source.
I mean, it's like having a great navigation system, but no GPS signal.
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
So let's talk about those internet sources.
Okay.
I know there's a few different options out there for boats.
Yeah, there are a few.
What are the pros and cons of each one?
Well, let's start with the most basic one, dockside broadband.
Okay, dockside broadband. So that's when you're at a marina and they have, internet access.
They have Wi-Fi.
Mm-hmm.
And you just plug into it?
Yeah, just like at home.
Okay.
Except you're on your boat.
Gotcha.
So that's a good option if you spend most of your time in marinas.
Right.
It's usually pretty reliable.
Okay.
And the speeds are decent.
Great.
But obviously it only works when you're at the dock.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So what about when you're out on the water?
Yeah, what then?
Well, then you can use cellular internet.
Okay, cellular internet. So that's just using the cell phone network.
Exactly.
Okay.
So it's a good option if you're staying close to shore.
Right.
But the coverage can be spotty. Yeah, especially if you're going offshore.
Yeah, if you're going way offshore, you're not going to have any cell service.
And what about data limits?
Oh, yeah. Data limits are definitely something to consider.
Because, with my phone, I burn through data pretty quickly.
Right, especially if you're streaming video or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
So you need to make sure you get a plan with enough data.
Okay.
Or you could end up with a big bill.
All right, so we've got dockside broadband and cellular.
Right.
What about if I want to go really far offshore?
Well, then you need satellite internet.
Okay, satellite internet.
Yeah.
So that's using satellites to get internet.
Exactly.
Okay, so I could be in the middle of the ocean
Right.
and still have internet access.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
That is pretty amazing.
Starlink is a good example of a satellite internet provider.
Right, we talked about their router earlier.
Exactly.
But is satellite internet as fast as like dockside broadband or cellular?
Well, it depends.
Okay.
The technology's been improving a lot lately. Starlink is actually pretty fast.
Really?
Yeah. In some cases, it's even faster than cellular.
Wow.
But it is more expensive.
Right, of course.
So it's a trade-off.
Okay. So I guess you got to figure out, what your needs are.
Exactly what's important to you.
How much speed you need.
Right.
How much you're willing to spend.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's go back to those routers for a minute.
Okay.
We talked about some key features in the last part.
Right.
But what else makes a good marine router good?
Well, one important thing is durability.
Okay, durability.
Yeah, you want a router that can handle the marine environment.
Right, because it's going to get wet.
Yeah, it's going to get wet. It's going to get salty.
It's going to be bouncing around.
Exactly.
So it needs to be tough.
It does.
So we're not talking about just like my home router here.
No. This is a different beast.
Okay.
You want something that's waterproof,
okay,
shockproof, all that stuff.
Gotcha.
Another important thing is ease of use.
Okay, ease of use.
Yeah, you don't want to have to be a tech expert to set up your router.
Especially when I'm out on the water.
Exactly. You want something that's plug and play.
All right.
And then another important thing is remote access and support.
Oh, remote access.
Yeah, so if you have a problem with your router,
yeah,
you can call someone.
Right.
And they can log in remotely.
So they can fix it from shore.
Exactly.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's very helpful.
And then what about security?
Oh, yeah, security is huge.
Because if everything's connected to the internet, that means someone could potentially hack into it.
Exactly. And that's a big concern on boats.
So what can we do to protect ourselves?
Well, first of all, you want to make sure your router has good security features.
Okay, like what?
A firewall is essential.
Okay, a firewall.
Yeah, that's like a barrier.
Okay.
That protects your network from unauthorized access.
Gotcha.
You also want to look for intrusion detection and prevention systems.
Okay.
Those can help to block malicious traffic.
All right, so it's like having a security guard for my network.
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it.
Okay.
And then another good option is a VPN.
Okay, a VPN. I've heard of those.
Yeah, those are becoming more and more popular.
What do they do?
Well, basically, they create a secure tunnel for your internet traffic.
So it's like all my data is encrypted.
Exactly.
Okay.
So it's much harder for hackers to intercept it.
That's good because I do a lot of online banking and stuff.
Right. Well, a VPN would definitely help to protect you.
Okay, so it sounds like security is a pretty big deal.
It is.
And it's something that we need to be thinking about.
Absolutely. You can't just ignore it.
All right, well, I think we've covered a lot of ground today.
Yeah, we have.
We've talked about internet sources.
Right.
And how to choose a good marine router.
Yep.
But we've only scratched the surface of security.
That's true.
So in the next part,
yes,
we're going to dive deep into marine cybersecurity.
Looking forward to it.
All right, so welcome back, everyone, to our final part of our deep dive into these marine network routers.
Yeah, it's been a great discussion.
It really has. we've talked about, the basics of these routers, the different internet sources.
Right,
security, all that stuff.
Yep.
But before we jump into, the cybersecurity part of it,
Right.
I kind of want to look ahead a little bit. What's coming next?
The future.
Yeah, the future of onboard internet. What's coming down the pipeline?
Well, one of the most exciting things is low Earth orbit satellite technology.
LEO satellites.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, how for those?
We talked about Starlink.
Right.
But there are other companies out there too.
Okay.
And these LEO satellites are much closer to Earth than traditional satellites.
Okay, so what does that mean for me?
Well, it means faster speeds and lower latency.
Lower latency. What is that?
Well, it's basically the delay.
Okay.
When you're trying to do something online, like if you're video calling or you're playing a game,
sure,
you don't want a lot of lag.
Right. I hate lag.
Yeah, nobody likes lag.
So LEO satellites can help with that.
Exactly. They can reduce latency significantly.
Okay, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a game changer.
But what about the environmental impact, of all these satellites up in space?
Yeah, there are definitely some concerns there.
Okay.
But the industry is working on ways to mitigate those.
Okay, so they're not just, launching these things up there and forgetting about them.
No, they're taking it seriously.
Okay, that's good to hear.
For example, Starlink's satellites are designed to deorbit safely.
Okay.
At the end of their life.
So they'll burn up in the atmosphere.
Exactly.
Okay.
So they don't become space junk.
Gotcha.
So yeah, the industry is aware of the issue.
Yeah.
And they're working on solutions.
Okay, so we've got LEO satellites coming, offering faster speeds, wider coverage.
Right.
What else is coming down the pipeline?
Well, another big thing is 5G cellular technology.
Yeah, 5G. Yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah, it's starting to roll out on land.
Right.
But it's also coming to the marine world.
Oh, okay.
And 5G is even faster than 4G.
Okay.
With even lower latency.
Oh, wow.
So it's going to be a big deal for boaters.
So I could be out, way offshore and still have super fast internet.
Well, that's the goal.
Okay.
There are still some challenges to overcome.
Okay, like what?
Well, 5G signals don't travel as far as 4G signals.
Okay.
So we need to figure out ways to extend the coverage.
So they're working on that?
Yeah, they're working on it.
Okay, well, that's exciting.
It is.
So it seems like the future of onboard internet is pretty bright.
Yeah, I think it is.
But with all this connectivity comes, a greater need for security.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about cybersecurity.
Okay.
What are the threats that boaters need to be aware of?
Well, the biggest threat is hackers.
Hackers, really?
Oh.
I mean, I just figured, I'm just out on my boat having fun.
Right.
Who would want to hack me?
Well, hackers are looking for any opportunity to steal data or disrupt systems.
And boats are becoming more vulnerable?
Exactly.
Right.
As more and more systems are connected to the internet,
right?
Boats are becoming targets.
So what can I do to protect myself?
Well, the first step is to choose a router with good security features.
Right. We talked about that.
A firewall
is
essential.
Okay.
You also want intrusion detection and prevention systems.
Right.
And a VPN is a good idea too.
Okay.
But it's not just about technology. It's also about awareness.
Okay, what do you mean?
Well, you need to be aware of the risks.
Okay.
And you need to take steps to protect yourself.
Like what kind of steps?
Well, for example, use strong passwords.
Okay.
Don't click on suspicious links.
Right.
Keep your software updated.
Okay.
Things like that.
So it's kind of like, locking your doors and windows, even if you're just, running into the store for a minute.
Right. You don't want to make it easy for the bad guys.
Okay, so it's a combination of technology and common sense.
Exactly.
Okay, well, I think we've given everyone a lot to think about today.
Yeah, I think we have.
We've covered a lot of ground.
Been a great discussion.
It really has. From the basics of marine network routers to the different internet sources and the importance of cybersecurity.
Absolutely.
I think the key takeaway is that, staying connected at sea is easier than ever.
It is.
But it's important to do your research.
Right.
Choose the right equipment.
Yes.
And be smart about security.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
So thanks for joining us, everyone.
It's been a pleasure.
And we'll see you next time.